Hi there, welcome to Singapore and welcome to the longest commercial flight on Earth. Just a few moments ago, I got off of my first class suites flight on Singapore Airlines A380 from Delhi. I'll link that trip report above and below in case you haven't checked it out yet. I was lucky enough to find a really incredible fare for this one-way trip back to New York, just around $1,500 in business class. Around $65 per hour for Singapore Airlines business class, I'd say that's a pretty good deal. The flight from Delhi is essentially a really short red-eye, so at the moment I am a little bit dreary and in search of a bit of relaxing, a hot shower, breakfast, and of course, coffee. Luckily for me, having arrived via a first-class flight, I had access to every lounge that SQ has here at Singapore's Changi Airport. SQ is short for Singapore Airlines, by the way, and I'll be using it a lot today. We are going to take a look at the first-class lounge and then the Uber-exclusive private room. But first, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Kevin. Welcome to the channel. I think that the internet is in need of a whole lot more honesty when it comes to airline and hotel content, and that's why I'm here. I make trip reports and high-end hotel reviews, and I always self-fund my trips. In fact, you'll always be able to find the exact price that I paid in the description below. I don't alert any companies that I'll be filming because I want to have as normal of an experience as possible. So in this video today, I'm going to give you nothing more than my own personal, honest, and unbiased opinion based on my own experience. If you head down to the description, you'll find my next 5 videos to come out, as well as other bits and pieces like the soundtrack titles featured in this video. On your way down there, don't forget to subscribe. I release full-length videos every Thursday and Saturday. So let's get into the lounges. We are in the Silver Chris First Class Lounge right now. To access this lounge, you would need to either be flying in first class on Singapore Airlines or any Star Alliance carrier. It's also available to any of SQ's fancy Solitaire PPS Club members. Now, onto the private room. Here's the list of all the people that can access the private room. First off, if you're flying first class on Singapore Airlines. Second, there's no second. This lounge is literally a private room only open to SQ's first class passengers. While it is beautiful and features lots of luxurious touches, I can't help but feel like this screams every high-end urban hotel ever opened in the past 3 years. Since it's not available to business class passengers, you may be wondering, why am I featuring it in a business class review? Well, that's pretty simple. I have access to this space for like 5 hours in total, maybe ever. I promise you, I'm not going to be stepping foot in a business class lounge today. If you want to see the inside of the business class lounge, you can click on one of my many Singapore Airlines videos above or below. I do take issue with both of these lounges for one reason though. All of Terminal 3's lounges were completely overhauled during COVID. Clean slate, brand new. Knowing that, would it have really killed them to put a few exterior windows in? Just saying. Here's the dining area and the full menu. Note that the red prices are my addition to give you an idea of the value on offer. It's all free, don't worry. After some delicious lobster laksa, I headed to take a shower in one of the well-equipped shower suites. Again, beautiful touches, especially the counters, but nothing groundbreaking in here. Though I was really happy to see Como products. If you're not sure why, check out one of my Como videos linked above or below. The thing that really kills me about the private room specifically are the sleeping pods. There are no beds in half of the rooms. Why on earth are there no beds? This makes as much sense as SQ not putting showers in their A380s. On a long layover, honestly, who would actually choose to sit in a chair instead of lie on a bed? Not like you'd have that long to sleep anyway though, since the time limit here was a very strictly enforced 2-hour limit. Note that there are only 4 of these rooms, 2 with beds and 2 with chairs. First come, first served. I can't imagine why there aren't 10, 12, 14 sleeping rooms with beds to make sure this is something that's always available only for their first class passengers. Anyway, rant over. Just to note, in my scoring for this review, I'm considering the consistent experiences that I've had at the business class and the KrisFlyer Gold lounges only. Okay, time to head to the gate with a bit of plane spotting along the way now that the sun is fully out. This was my ride coming here. Just a friendly reminder that clicking that thumbs up button, hitting subscribe, and sharing this video with friends and family is a great way to help me continue to grow the channel. If you'd like to support me even further, my Patreon is linked in the description below. Thanks very much in advance. It really never ceases to amaze me how good the facilities of Changi are. Their regular seating areas would pass for a decent lounge in many airports across the world. That's not even to mention all of the unique, over-the-top features that Changi has. Butterfly garden, anyone? So we're going to be heading to Gate Bravo 10 for our 18-hour marathon of a flight to Kennedy. As I mentioned already, I've published many SQ trip reports before, and I've talked about the history of SQ extensively in them, so if you're curious about that, check out one of them. In today's video, I want to focus on one thing: the longness of the longest flight on Earth. With 63 of them in their fleet, A350s make up over 40% of SQ's entire fleet of 152 aircraft. SQ is in fact the largest operator of the A350 on Earth. Today is a bit of a special version of that though. It's the A350-900 ULR, or Ultra Long Range, which they have just 7 of. This was a variant created essentially just for SQ in order to serve a handful of routes. Though the A350-900s being sold now have the same maximum takeoff weight, at the time the ULRs could haul 280 tons compared to the original 268 on the standard variant. With this, plus a reduced seat count, SQ is able to carry up to 165,000 liters of fuel, giving the ULR a range of 11,200 miles or 18,000 kilometers. The standard variant capable of just 9,300 miles or 15,000 kilometers. SQ uses 2 configurations of the standard version, with 303 seats in their regional setup and 253 in their standard long-haul A350s. Today's ULR though, we have just 161 seats, 67 in business class and 94 in premium economy. There is no economy section. Amazingly, SQ began operating non-stop to Newark way back in 2004, which operated until 2013 when it was no longer feasible due to fuel costs. This original flight was operated by the gas-guzzling A340-500, originally in a business premium economy layout, changing to all business class in 2008. Back then, the A340s needed 222,000 liters of fuel to make the trip. That's 35% more than our A350 today can even hold. SQ began flying with the A350 in 2016, with the ULRs coming in 2018. Later that year, they launched the Newark service. In 2020, SQ launched the first non-stop flight to New York JFK, which took the title of the longest flight from Newark by just 14 miles. Post-COVID, SQ decided to fly to both Newark and Kennedy each daily. As we get our first glimpse of our bird for today, I want to see how these stack up to the other longest routes in the world. Let's dive in a bit. As I mentioned, SQ has the number 1 and number 2 spots to New York JFK and Newark specifically. Coming in third is Qatar Airways from Doha to Auckland. Fourth is a common carrier in this graphic, Qantas from Perth to London. Following that, we have Auckland to JFK, operated by both Qantas and Air New Zealand. Next up, from Melbourne to Dallas. Then Emirates Dubai to Auckland, and SQ Singapore to LAX. Air India has 1 entry from Bengaluru to SFO, a single entry from United from Houston to Sydney, and finally, for good measure, number 11 is Qantas' Sydney to Dallas-Fort Worth. My conclusion? Australia and New Zealand are just too far away. Security as well as boarding pass checks are done as you enter the gate area. One benefit is that there are no real secondary checks for US flights leaving from Singapore. They simply adapt the gate security check to the higher standards that would normally be involved in the secondary checks. Boarding began, and let me tell you, there is nothing quite like boarding a plane with 66 other people who also think that they're the most important person in the room. On these flights, gate lice isn't frowned upon, it's a way of life. Let's check out today's flight stats. On such a long flight, there are lots of flight levels and speeds, but we averaged around 530 knots at 41,000 feet. In total, it took us 18 hours and 14 minutes to trek the 9,531 miles to JFK. Stepping on board, my flip-flops and I were warmly greeted by the purser, not by name, but this was clearly a no-nonsense group of passengers, so it wasn't really out of character. I had a very quick walk to my seat for today's flight, 10 Alpha. In the entire SQ fleet, 152 aircraft, tens of thousands of seats. Want to guess how many seats are in row 10? A big fat 7. Let's take a look at the cabin layout and I'll explain why. So first of all, it needs saying just how long the business class cabin keeps going. The last row of business class is directly over the rear edge of the wing. Business class is split into 2 cabins, but we'll focus on the one up front. Perhaps you can see now why there are only 7 seats in total in row 10. SQ's business class always starts with row 11, except for the 7 ULRs. I'd always assumed somehow that this seat was more forward than normal, but in reality, the crew areas and galley areas are simply much larger in the front of this aircraft. So my seat, 10 Alpha, is just about where 11 Alpha is on the other A350s, with the added storage and galley space taking up what would be the other 3 seats. As for the measurements, here they are for the bulkhead seats, which there are 8 of on this plane. If you're KrisFlyer Gold or higher, you can select these seats when booking. Otherwise, they'll be available for anyone released generally around 24 to 72 hours in advance, depending largely on how many bassinets they expect to be on the plane. They do offer a whole lot more space than the standard seats, so I'd highly suggest using a tool like Expert Flyer to stock your flight's load in the days before your flight. Let's have a look around the seat. Upon boarding, each seat will have a bottle of water, a menu card, headphones, and an amenity kit. There will also be a pillow on your seat. If you're looking for more pillows or blankets, they're just behind your seat back. These business class seats are likely the most love it or hate it of any business class seat on Earth. Personally, I enjoy them. I do admit that the bulkheads make it much more comfortable, but even in the standard seats, I simply think that there's something to be said about the amount of space, the shoulder space that you have while sitting, as well as the amount of shoulder space you have while lying down. In the standard seats, will you need to contort your legs a bit when lying down? Yes, definitely yes. But I personally think that it's worth the trade-off. And I reckon that most, surely not all, but most of SQ's frequent flyers feel the same way. Pre-departure drinks were passed around and I started to settle in nicely, checking out all of the storage space that the seat has. One thing I will say though, after my A380 suites experience, a suite which I think has a really poor layout, it does make me look at these seats with new eyes. While there are plenty that love these seats, there are also plenty that don't. So it begs the question, why does Singapore so stubbornly hold on to the design? I'll show you later, but these seats don't fully recline. When it's time to sleep, the back flips forward. I love this, and I think that it's truly an undervalued thing. But that has actually been changed in their latest business class iteration on the A380s, by sacrificing a lot of the shoulder space, I gotta say. We ended up pushing back and departing 25 minutes late, but made up for that time in the air. As my favorite safety video began, I sat back and relaxed and we made our way to the runway. Quite a ways away. We finally made our way all the way over to runway 20 left, on the other side of the future Terminal 5, and got ready for takeoff. That, along with the spool up and flight stats, are coming up next. This was what felt like a very, very, very long and shallow climb. I've flown this route a few times and I've never really noticed that before. I took note on board that it took us 33 minutes and 396 kilometers to get up to 30,000 feet. I'm no pilot, but that sounds like quite a while. We must have been very heavy today. Besides the strange foot cubby for most seats, my own personal pet peeve about this seat are the tray table positions. It's a push down to pull up mechanism and is precisely where my arm naturally rests. On an 18-hour flight, I'd estimate that I accidentally popped this table up around 20 or 30 times. One special feature about this table, though, that is not normal for a business class tray table is that it moves vertically. You can go up or down depending on whichever is the most comfortable for you. In fact, I'm not sure if I can think of any other tables that are height adjustable. Are there? Soon after reaching 10,000 feet, the crew were released and began with beverage service, the order for which was taken on the ground. As we wait for the first meal service to begin, let's check out today's in-flight comforts and amenities. The Amenity kit is by Penhaligons and now features their Luna scent. SQ has always had a very sparsely stocked Amenity kit, if they had them at all, with the thought that most things that you'd need are available in the bathrooms, as they always have been. Slippers, socks, and an eye mask were also at each seat. I don't remember business class slippers previously having the Lalique logo. Did they? The first of 3 pillows is a winner for me. This was voted on by a panel of me as 2022's best in-flight pillow, and I can't really say that anyone else has taken away that title. It's a great size, substantial, but still soft. Headphones are the normal SQ offering, unbranded but decent quality. A bit heavy though, so I always seem to think. Maybe my headphones are just abnormally light. As we passed over some beautiful clouds, the meal service was about to begin. Here's today's full menu. Here again, know that the red price tags are just sample retail prices that I found online to give you an idea of the wine value on board. There is a celebration in order. Today, for the first time, I have received a starter on Singapore Airlines that is not shrimp. This was smoked duck breast with pineapple and apricot compote. Delicious. Bonus points for having legs. Next up is a dish that I have resisted ordering for so many times because every YouTube and vlogger and influencer who has ever stepped on an SQ flight has featured it, and I thought that perhaps it was just a little bit cliche. Let me tell you how wrong I was. The taste was incredible. By the way, I ordered this through Book the Cook, SQ's pre-flight ordering service available for all business class and first class passengers, from most destinations. As for bread though, SQ, I'm begging you, either get a new baker or just stop serving bread. Your bread is horrendous. It always sucks. Not a euphemism. Literally, always. Anywho, onto dessert. A pistachio and almond bavois with sour cherry compote. I'm not sure that there have ever been more beautiful dessert words strung together. As well as some ribbon ice cream straight from the supermarket freezer section of 1993. Here's how far the seat reclines while upright. It's definitely comfortable enough for me. And with the seat back flipped forward, here's the full bed. I love this bed for 2 more reasons, which I think are also underrated. First, flipping forward means that you get to sleep on a surface that hasn't been in direct contact with butts. To me, that makes a difference. It's more of a foam mattress on this side and is pre-fitted with a mattress topper as well as the bottom sheet. Yes, you need to stand up, but once you do, there's no other seat in the sky that converts to a bed faster. Everyone complains about having to stand up to put this into bed mode, as if you didn't need to stand up to get into any bed, ever. Second is something that I've mentioned many times before, but it's the nook that is created inside the padded shell that is actually my favorite position in the seat. Just make the bed and sit in it. Very much a la Finnair's new no recline seat. One note about 10A, if light bothers you, note that this might happen quite a bit, due to the curve of the wall. After some Netflix and a nap, I was feeling a bit peckish, so I ordered the fishball noodle soup, which really hit the spot. As for today's 10-second toilet tour, it's a pretty standard layout, clean, with some Penhaligons products. Love the facial mist on long flights. As well as my favorite foot-operated trash bin and the standard drawer of amenities. As the sun began to rise, the primary meal service was being prepared. If you notice, the first meal service was a tray service. For this one, it's served without. We started off with satay, and then had some views of Alaska. Yes, this main meal is served 12 hours into an 18-hour flight. It might sound weird, but for such a long flight, I think it's pretty smart, since it serves as a lunch based on New York time. Note that the Newark and Kennedy services are opposite. The Kennedy service takes off at 12 noon and arrives around 6 p.m. The Newark service takes off at midnight and arrives around 6 a.m. Another big win today, starting off with a seared tuna appetizer. For my main dish, I went with something from the deliciously wholesome Book the Cook menu, a partnership between Singapore Airlines and, again, Como. This was braised fish in a tomato coconut gravy, served with pumpkin and fresh vegetables. The flavor was a bit on the light side for my taste, but I appreciated that you could actually get some veg with this dish that wasn't part of the standard SQ veg on offer. Last up, we had a coffee cake and a small fruit plate. Overall, another great meal, and if I'm completely honest, both meals on this flight were better than my full meal on my first class flight. I took another nap soon after. First though, looking at some of the Alaskan landscape below, and before I knew it, I was awake and waiting for New York to come into view. It was a gorgeous day in the Hudson Valley, and the end of this flight was nearly a full tour of the Hudson River bridges, starting off with the Mid-Hudson Bridge going to Poughkeepsie. Next up, the Newburgh Bridge, and soon after that, the Mario Cuomo, aka Tappan Zee Bridge, just north of the city. Before long, the George Washington Bridge and the Manhattan Skyline came into view as we passed overhead on our descent into JFK, crossing over part of Long Island before landing from the south. As we enjoy these incredible views, let me talk about the service on board. 18 hours is a lot. Even for me, it does feel like a really long flight. There's something about the 15-hour mark that hits you, and then it seems like every minute after that feels like a decade. Well, the service style and schedule on board is meant to combat that specifically. Crew, as always on SQ, are professional and poised, and particularly friendly and familiar on this flight. During and in between services, they were constantly up and down the aisles, and were always seconds away if you pushed the call button. The reason that I like the last full meal 12 hours into the flight is because it allows you to easily rest or luckily fall asleep after it, and those extra long hours that would normally feel like they were taking forever were actually just flying by as you were sleeping, quite literally. Sometimes I honestly do forget how beautiful the region is from up here. Okay, I'll let you enjoy the landing and taxi and airport stats. And that is that. Longest flight on Earth, and happy to be on board. I've said it before and I'm gonna say it again in the future. I do believe that Singapore Airlines is the most consistent airline on Earth. The best, they have their moments, but consistent is what I'm talking about. When you need to commit to 18 hours in the air on the same plane with the same crew, knowing exactly what you're gonna get is a really great peace of mind to have when booking such a long flight. I really do hope that you enjoyed this trip report today. If you did, please be sure to click that thumbs up button and subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss out on any of my twice weekly uploads every Thursday and Saturday. I'll see you next time from the Leela Palace in Jaipur. Oh, and thanks for watching until the end.